Hi Aquarians, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. We're going to take a look at your conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter. This happened 2 days ago on the 12th as the exact point, but the energy continues through April 22nd and actually further beyond. Sorry that I'm filming your video separate. I just had to run when I was doing the air sign video, and I know you guys are the chillest group, so I thought you guys would be fine with that. I've been playing the chimes whenever I've started a reading, so why don't I play a couple notes for you to open up this energy. So I hope you guys are doing well today. And so even though the exact conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune has already passed, it's still a good thing to talk about. And today's video is actually really in depth, which means that I'm going to do the Brautele cards, which are on a light language deck from Italy. And then we will talk about the astrology in depth. And then we will do a horoscope spread, meaning one reading for every single one of the houses in relation to the conjunction. Just to give you guys an introduction to it, this conjunction is happening in your second house. So this is very benefic, which means positive for your financial circumstances and opportunities. We have Mars having already entered, or I think it's entering today, into the first house. And so therefore you will have a lot of momentum for the next 3 or 4 weeks moving forward. Venus is in rulership in the second house, but not in the sign of Pisces. She is exalted though in Pisces, so therefore very, very lucky set of combination. In fact, when I'm thinking about it, this is probably one of the luckiest houses that anyone can have at this time. It's just miracle moments for financial opportunities and so forth. Let's talk about the conjunction in a minute or two, but what I've been doing for all of the signs is doing oracle spread readings, or just pulling a couple of these oracle cards. I also want to kind of, what did I want to say? I forgot. Oh yeah, I did another video about this. It's an all sign, and I'll link it at the end and in the description, and it's called the Greatest Conjunction. It's a play on words from the Great Conjunction, which was Jupiter and Saturn. This is the Greatest Conjunction because both Jupiter and Neptune are in Pisces and rulership, and it's a really good benefic energy, and I hope it brings light and joy into your life. Okay, so let's take a look at your messages. So we have hope first. This is the Sun card in the tarot. This deck is a light language deck, so it's atypical, but the first 21 cards are like the trump cards and praying. So I feel like there's some really good luck coming your way. I feel it's something that you've truly, really wanted. I think you've been very patient with circumstances. In other words, you've been accepting situations as they are. However, I do feel as though maybe you haven't been receiving everything that you want in the world. And so now you feel, or you are able to receive more of that. You're able to receive a better quality of life, or what you've been hoping for. You're about to receive those things. And this is specifically something to do with money or something you want to achieve. I think that something that's been blocked is being removed and you're able to move forward. Okay, so the next message is finding, number 107, and then we have higher level forces. Some of you might be facing a very deep connection with someone who's a guide to you. A guide is a person or energy that is meant to help and support you. I feel as though you've had a missing link, which means that there's been something missing in your life in terms of being able to or wanting to receive something. You've been not getting the full support that you want. You've been not getting the full needs or whatever you have been requiring. It's just not been coming to you for a long time. There has been some success, but I think that it's been somehow held back, or especially in that monetary physical plane. And it's esoterics, it's metaphysical, it's not necessarily, it could be coming through as a specific thing in your life, but it is definitely an energetic issue. And so this energetic issue is now getting worked out, and now it's somehow being reconciled or fixed. Have you guys ever heard about like this stereotype story? Somebody goes see a psychic and they said, you have bad energy around you, I can cure you for $1,000 or whatever else. So that's kind of a bad situation. That's a grift. But maybe there is some truth to it, in the sense that sometimes we can get attached to some weird energy, or there can be some transits around that the current transits are kind of evoking. So I feel like something has been intense. Mind you, Pluto is in the depth of your 12th house. I guess we're talking about it now. So Pluto is in the depth of your house. It's bordering the 29th degree. It's going to get very interesting when Pluto is in the 29th degree. It's just going to be a very special set of circumstances. So yeah, so just be patient with it, and you may be feeling as though there's like an overwhelming energy around you, and so this conjunction is definitely bridging the gap to helpful energies in your life. Okay, so we have dignity, number 51. Walking away from situations fast. Okay, so there's definitely a walking away from harmful or negative situations in your life to a certain extent, things that detract from your well-being, things that keep you down. There's definitely a up and away sort of movement. I think that you'll be surprised by the situation or the thing that actually is keeping you down. I think it's something that you accept in your life, or you actually don't see as very difficult or problematic. So I think that you're moving towards like reconciling that or coming to terms with that in some way. Why don't we pick some angel cards? So we have hope and praying, and then we have purpose. Okay, so there is something that is very important to you in your life at this time, Aquarius, and I think that you're getting closer and closer to it. Let me show you guys something, because it actually reminds me of something in astrology. So this is the North Node. And so what we're going to see now is the North Node moving in this motion towards your sign. And so we're almost at the position, well, we're actually starting the position of something called bending of the nodes, which means that the nodes are at 90-degree angle from the position in which they will be when they are in your sign. And so whenever the nodes are in your position, especially the North Node, it's a very special time in that person's life. So if your sun's in Aquarius and the nodes are square to this position at this time, it's almost like the three-quarter moon, right? The week before the full moon. The energy is now going to rise and come into its own. How does that relate? Well, we have purpose, praying, and hope. I really sense as though it just came to me. I just realized it. So it really feels as though something you want to achieve, or something that you want to have as a part of your life, has been blocked, or it's been hard to make it happen, or there's been some type of barrier. And so it's frustrating, because I do sense that you have a significant purpose for this. There's something that you really, really want that has not been coming together. You may find success in many aspects of your life, but there's something that you really want to experience, or you want to be, that has been stopped. And so I think that this is the time in which it starts to really come together. And I think it actually has to do with the North Node moving towards Aquarius. So something of purpose is coming into your life. I think there's more fluidity coming to you. There's more movement. Okay. So finding higher forces, higher level forces, I feel as though this represents support and power. Okay, so you got the power card. I just feel as though something is coming into your corner, and this energy is going to really help you with momentum. So something that you needed to take the next step in life, to take the next journey, to find success in this way, I think it's coming in your life. It may come in the form of support. With the North Node in your fourth house, it may come in the way of family support, or with the conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter, we might be actually talking about money. So you have the money transit of the bunch. So if you have Aquarian placements, congratulations. Sun, moon, and rising. So if you have an Aquarian moon, what I would suggest is that you take that as a bit of like intuitive interpretation. So you may experience like insight on how to make money at this time, or there may be some transcendent moment of understanding. Dignity and fast, and we have harmony. So what came up for me in this for you right away, I felt it, turning your back on something. I think you're going to say, aha, this does not fit into my life. I really think you don't think it's a problem until you realize it is. And so there's going to be something removed, something changed very, very quickly. It could be a relationship, or it could be something deeper than that. But I think you're going to identify something that's actually causing you displeasure, or you're not happy because it is there. And I don't think that you think it's causing that, but when it's removed, I think it's just going to really improve the temperament of your life and your experiences. So it looks really good from here. The air signs are very much, I did Libra and Gemini yesterday, very kind of like fast improvement. You know, the water signs were relationships. The earth signs had very heavy readings, and fire signs were very quick readings. Yours so far are sort of like cutting the things that hold you back and moving forward. So there's definitely some kind of lift in your energy. And so for me, it feels very happy. It feels very hopeful. There's definitely like, you get to go forward on things that you want. The conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune is very rare. The last time it happened was in 1856. In the video that's called The Greatest Conjunction, the all sign video I did, I talked about some of the astrological implications of this, and I talked about some of the history associated with this, and it's relevant to current events, so it's kind of interesting to watch. But anyway, so this conjunction happened in 1856, and now it's happening again. I really essentially think it's a turning of the tide, and so it may bring with it some positive things or some difficult things, but overall I feel as though it's a moment. Pisces is a water sign, and so it's adding to a situation that has been greatly like just factual and calculated and not very sympathetic, a level of compassion. So in 1856, when this conjunction happened, we had just finished the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution, I think, is cited as kind of completing in the 40s. It was also right before the time in which colonialism started breaking apart. It was still a little early, but the beginning stages of it had to take foothold. The other thing that was very important was Christianity specifically was starting to be deconstructed or sort of broken down in some way. So the philosopher Nietzsche was born, I think, in the 40s, 1840s. And so by kind of right after that time, when he was a teenager or like a teenager, he was already moving in that direction, so there was 1856 was sort of a breaking point, although because it's Neptune, it's not necessarily literal. So it's kind of, sort of ambiguous at times or kind of subtle in its energy. And so I hope that this conjunction actually is going to bring to our current situations a similar level of sympathy, or like to the industrial age, machines and coal and hard work. Suddenly there were questions about human quality of life. Children didn't have much of a childhood back then unless they were completely wealthy. So suddenly there was questions that were arising about the quality of life of children, the quality of life of women, the quality of life of other people and different identities. I think that's where it all really started. And so I hope that, again, we're going to start asking questions about human rights. And with this conjunction, there's this questioning of technology and everything that's happening with that, and globalism and all the different aspects of it. So for you, I think it's relevant because it affects the money. So if you're doing anything to do with, monetary things, financial things, maybe this is going to give you some push. You're a very far-reaching sign in terms of your competence and understanding of the world. And so I feel like maybe you're going to see certain things, and in this shift, you'll see opportunities early, so you'll be able to set yourself up to do well in that. So maybe you'll see the turn of the tide with certain institutions or the certain ways we do things, and maybe you'll be able to find for yourself a niche or a little some type of spot in which you can find success, in which you can find, abundance. So I wish for you abundance. I think that's what it's about. I haven't been talking about this in the other videos now, but this is the last video we're doing on it today. So it is also sextile the north node and trine the south node. So whenever you have this kind of angle, I don't think this has a name, but when you have a trine to the north node and sextile to the north node and a trine to the south node, to me that really speaks of something being consolidated in the past, from the past, so your lessons even into past lives and so forth, and something opening up like a portal and moving forward towards a new direction. So the sextile is sort of initiating some kind of energy, as is Neptune and Jupiter. So hopefully I've said something that triggers your imagination or triggers your mind, and you're thinking of something right now. I would be looking for financial opportunities if I had Sun or Rising Aquarius. The other thing that I'll say is that, as I said before, and I'll talk about this a lot more right now, it just hit me how intense of a transit this must be. I've heard several clients over the last few years go through with Pluto crossing their ascendant line in their personal chart. So if their rising sign was Capricorn, and it's intense. So especially towards the end of this transit, you're getting really dealing with some intense energies. Pluto is one of the most intense transits. It's very hard hitting. And it can bring good and it can bring challenges. And so if you're feeling pressure and feeling tense, I'm sure that Pluto's a part of it. And the silver lining of that is that it soon will transit into your first house. So that pressure will build. And when the transit happens in 2023 and 2024, then you'll take a deep breath of fresh air. And definitely that first entry point over the ascendant is usually the most powerful. So the first, what is it? The first strike is the deepest. I don't know. It's an old song. I don't really know it, but it always reminds me of that. So some of the pressure you may be feeling could be to do with that. Since we're talking about the North Node, maybe I should point out too that the South Node is in Scorpio. It's in your 10th house. So lessons that you've learned about the world, you're going to apply towards this new beginning, this new future. The other thing that I might point out here is, your impressions of people and how they act. You may be quite tired because the South Node is in the 10th house of social environments. You just might be finished with the way people are, society is, we all reach a boiling point. And because it's the South Node in the 10th house, and because you're Aquarius, you could be feeling at this time a certain degree of disenchantment with the world about how people are and all these things. So if you're feeling that way, that's why it is. And so I encourage you to still look beyond those factors, the Pluto and the South Node, and really look towards, the Piscean transits in the second house. Wonderful transit. I would say it's one of the best. People say, oh, Pisces is so lucky, but you're pretty lucky too in the second house. So go enjoy that energy. So why don't we do a tarot card reading for every single house? So we begin with the first house of the self. This is where Saturn is. I like Saturn in later degrees of the first house. I don't like when it first enters the house because it usually entails some degree of stress that the person is experiencing. But now that Saturn's deeper into the first house, you're sort of kind of on top of it. You've figured out your lessons and now you're dealing with them. So, and there could be even elements of gain when it's in this position now. So we have the Three of Wands first. So this is in relation to the conjunction, right? So I'm talking about the context. You're waiting for something to come out. I sense eagerness, and I sense eagerness or, you know, just ambition, hoping for something to work out, just very excited. This is Mars in Gemini. So Nine of Swords, weary of something, worried about something. I sense that you're very eager about something. Some of you might be feeling tense. Some of you might just be really hoping that this stuff comes together. I really feel as though that the energy of this, I'm meant to tell you to relax and go slow. And even though you feel this big push of energy where you want something to happen, you want your dreams to come true, they really need to come of their own energy. And I'll remind you guys, I say this periodically, one of the things about Aquarians that I know a lot, or I really think is true, is that you guys have perceptive abilities about the future. What I mean by that is it's not just psychic ability. It means you see trends and you see things about people and situations early on. And so then you sit back and you wait for them to happen. So in other words, you might be having a vision of something that you really want to do right now. And the frustration may be coming from the fact that other people need to catch up to your vision. Now, this gives you a leader's advantage, but it's frustrating if you just want something to happen. Sometimes it's not yet time. So it feels like with something that is about to happen, it hasn't been yet time. And so you've been waiting for it, right? Okay. So now let's take a look at the oracle cards. We have spontaneity. I think that you're going to respond something right on the spot. I think you're going to be very reactive about something. Be careful you don't say things to other people that you want to backtrack on later. So instinctual response is great, but I think that there's a warning here that if you're too quick to respond to something, then you may regret it later. So that you might feel as though you want to take it back. So be careful with how you say it. Saturn's still in your first house, so it really does influence things. Maybe don't speak on financial issues too fast. Figure out what you want and what the energy is, and then speak on it a little bit slower and later once you see the full situation evolve. So second house is where this is happening. So let's see what's going on here. So we have the Four of Cups. Yeah, I get that there's some type of offer made, some type of breakthrough. Five of Swords. I feel as though there's a aha moment in here for you, which means like aha to the people who hurt you or who set you back in some way. You're really proving them wrong, and you're proving yourself right in an issue. So it's a self-esteem issue. There's money coming your way. I feel as though partly though it's earned. I don't feel like it is a departure in the sense that there's something out there for you that you really want to build or expand upon. But I also feel as though some things you have earned. You've earned someone's respect. You've earned your commission. You've put the effort in, and now you're seeing the product of your effort. And don't think about it in a literal way, which means don't think about it like, you know, I worked, so now here's my paycheck. This is very mystical. So let's say that you throughout your life learned something and practiced it for a long time, and now you're really good at it. Now you're putting it in play and you're seeing the reward coming in. Okay, so we have gratitude for something. Okay, so maybe this is this haha. It feels as though somebody was working against you in the past, and now your success is sort of a snub to them. But from the previous reading, I would say that be very careful with how you convey that, or how you kind of feed into any energy that is vindictive or that has anything to do with, you know, one-upping someone else or proving them wrong. That can feel good for a short time, but I think what this is saying that is if you kind of participate in that energy at this time, it might actually in some way backfire for you. You might regret it. There's a strong, like, be careful with how you, like, your ego and expressing your ego, even if someone deserves it, even if someone, just be careful with your ego. Okay. Then we have number 3, which is the 3rd house. Let's take a look at the messages here. Chiron, this is less important. So for you, it's all about you and the world. It's very little about the self, actually, at this time. Little about the self. There's a fair bit going on in terms of your relationships. But yeah, very little to do with the self at this time. Okay, so let's hear it out anyway. So 3rd house, right? Chiron and the sun is there. Hanged man. So the 3rd house, has to do with things that are close to you. Things like your neighborhood, your building, or even like your community in some close fashion. Then we have the Temperance card, which is the card of Sagittarius. And we have the 4 of Wands, some type of offer. I feel that you're in relation to people who are somewhat close to you. And by close, I mean, is they're in the same community as you, or you know them quite well. I wouldn't say they're your friends. They may be your friends. They may be your siblings. But I sense that you know them from a group of some kind, or some kind of group. And so I have a feeling that you're managing your environment very well, and you're really managing your environment well, and you're meant to be slow with something. It's not manipulation. It's you're playing your cards right in relation to them, and it's prompting them to have a positive response to you. So be cautious with others at this time. It's not that they bring you, bad things or something like that. I think what this is showing is that you get what you want by being smart in relation to them. Let them offer you something. Don't push an issue. All those kinds of things are in your favor at this time. So less is more. And then we have trust. So I think somebody's going to prove their relationship to you. I think that, and I'm speaking in that level of friendship, companionship. It could be more, but somebody's proving their loyalty to you. There's like you're reaching a level of understanding, but I think that it happens from you pulling back, not necessarily pulling back, but just allowing them to suggest that or initiate that of their own way. So you're being smart. You're not calculated. You're not manipulating, but you're just allowing the other person. There's going to be something positive coming to you from someone else, and it's going to be unprompted. It's going to really come from them. And I also sense that you're not pulling back, but you're not pursuing the issue. So you're just completely letting someone else do that. Okay. So now let's talk about the 4th house, which is home, and it's also family. And you have North Node here and Uranus. So there's big changes to do with you in the home. There's something unexpected or a new way of doing things that's coming up for you now. So that's very positive. There's also a square between your placement and this naturally. So some of the changes that are happening may feel at odds with what you really want to do, but I think that overall it's good. Change is good. You may feel resistant. So what I'm saying is, when it happens, you might at first feel like, oh shit, this is going to be not good, but it's actually going to be good. It's so you might feel resistance. And so just be slow with situations. So far I'm seeing a pattern for all your readings is like, don't pass judgment too fast. Allow things to happen. So we have the 8 of Swords next, which is kind of some types of blockages. Like what I could see for you in the 4th house is something comes up such as an opportunity, and you may not see how it plays out, especially around the house or to do with your family. You may be resistant to it. You may think it's not going to work. Give it time, but you like it. It's just you don't think it can happen, and I think it can. And then we have the 8 of Pentacles. Focus on your work. There's just a way about to do something differently than you normally would. So there's definitely like, let it rest. A situation or an opportunity may come up, and it may feel like it's hard to make it happen, but I literally think you're going to be able to make it happen. So it's going to grow on you. It's going to grow on your family members. Maybe you're presenting this idea to someone else in your family and they're like, no. Maybe you're asking someone to move somewhere because it's the 4th house. So with Uranus there, you may want to move like somewhere where you've never wanted to move before. Maybe your partner's not so into it, but just let it rest. I think it's going to be a good opportunity. So you have synthesis here, synthesis. So allow things to kind of, when you make pastry or when you make dough, oftentimes you have to, I'm no baker or anything, but I do know this is you need to set it aside and sometimes in the fridge to breathe. That always kind of blows my mind. It's that kind of situation, like something's happening, but you have to kind of lay off of it a little bit to let it happen of its own accord. Okay. Then we have the 5th house. So let's see what's going on in the 5th house. You're naturally harmonious with this house, and especially the sign of Gemini. So it's good. Ceres, that's the question mark there. That's Ceres in Gemini. And so it's not necessarily too well aspected to the conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter, but let's see what's going on. In other words, relationships aren't the core of this energy at this time. Okay, so we have the 8 of Pentacles. This is coming up several times. I think you've got the 8 of Pentacles several times. It's ruled also by Sun in Virgo. So hard work, keeping your head down, staying on focus, staying on task, those kinds of things. And then we have the Ace of Cups. There could be something at work that's coming up for you hand in hand. This could suggest that there's some kind of romantic feelings or romantic interest. Somebody at work could ask you out. Is that what it is? You might be resistant to that. And I'm not so prone to give advice to go and date people from work. I think it brings a lot of problems, but it depends on your personal situation. There's an opportunity at work. It's driven by emotions. And I think you're caught off guard. I don't think you're opposed to it, but I think you're surprised by it. I would consider it, but again, don't put yourself into compromising situations. That's what I'll say about it. I want to leave it really open-ended because that way, I'll let you decide for yourself. I see you working really hard and something coming up and pulling your attention away from your work. And there's a real harmonious relationship between you and someone else there. Okay? So support. Maybe you have an ally or a friend at work. It just feels like a good emotional energy is coming your way, but I think it's unexpected, and I think it's different than the way it normally goes. So it takes you a minute to either accept it, understand it, or integrate it. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 6th house. And so in the 6th house is the sign of Cancer. This is very harmonious with the conjunction here in the 2nd house. So your work, your patterns at this time greatly benefit from this. What it strikes me about this for you is that there will be some material gain that will help you save time, and that affects the 6th house. So such a thing as buying a car and being able to do more tasks or diversify what you're doing or get to where you are going faster. Cars are super expensive right now because of the different elements that they use in them and the push towards EVs. So generally, if you want to buy a car, I don't know. I mean, if you need a car, you need a car, but I don't think it's a good time to buy a car. This is not financial advice, but just everything's gone up like 30%. So be aware of that. I'm not telling you to spend your money, but there's a lot of particles or like elements that they use in cars that are very expensive now because of the world events. So you may want to wait with that, but it feels as though something comes your way and that really facilitates for you. Something comes your way and that really facilitates for you, a way forward and a resolution. And it's going to make your time management much better. So the next energy is the 9 of Swords. What is this? Someone's hurt or you've been hurt. And I think that it's a rebuttal to that hurt. So I don't think anybody's hurting now. I think a lot of what's happening in your life is a byproduct of having been hurt in the recent past. So it's like, never again. I'm not gonna, it's like motivating you to change things or change things up or challenge your environment because of suffering and because of pain. Love, I think you have allies, and we came up with that in, remember this part, higher level forces. I think some things are coming your way at this time that are really quite beautiful. And you have the sun, you know, as well. So I feel like, yeah, some good things coming your way. Someone's on your side. It's a rebuttal to something negative. So how you plan your day is really motivated by possibly having gone through something difficult and then being determined to change that path. So, you know, just never again, the feeling of never again, the feeling of stepping away from difficult moments. Okay, so, I should pick an angel card for you guys. So we have abundance. So I think that you're reaching towards good things. And again, patience is very important at this time because you're ready to make some changes, but the world has to catch up with the changes you need to make. Okay, so Leo is, of course, you're a very complementary opposite sign. However, it's not necessarily the best angle to Jupiter and Neptune. That just means that this is a much less, a situation that is much less resonant in terms of relationships. Relationships may be coming up for you at this time, but it's not the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that's causing it so much. As a byproduct, yes, but that's not the point of that energy. So don't be discouraged that I'm not talking about love. It's just not the focus in this video. So we have lovers, speaking of which. Now this is the house of partnership, the 7th house. So lovers is the partners, it's the brothers, it's all levels of partnership and duality. And so, yeah, so you're getting a very strong card for partnership there. It could mean that someone is very close to you, or you're really in a similar step with someone else. You understand someone else, and then we have the moon. It's twice now that the moon has come up, and I want to remind you guys how I pick. I don't really like do it on camera because I think, I don't know, I rather focus on telling you things, but I have a very like casual picking level, but it's totally random. So if you're wondering why this came up twice, I think it's random, so it's important that it's come up twice. And we have the King of Swords here, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Somebody's going to take a step towards you. I think that there's maybe some questions about partnership, and somebody's going to initiate. Likewise, maybe you will say something. There's like a definitive step, asserting yourself, making a bold move. There's all sorts of energy. Then we have truth. So you're going to get, it feels as though in a partnership situation, it's pretty wishy-washy at this time, which means you're not so clear about their intentions or what they want. And I think either you, because you can be the King of Swords, whether you're a man or a woman, or them, whatever their sign is, they may initiate towards you some, you know, definitive message or assert themselves in some way. So yeah, there's a level of truth here. You're getting to the nitty-gritty of things. Some clarity is brought to a situation because one person takes on the King of Swords energy, meaning takes control over the situation and says, we have to talk about this, and pushes forward. So if you're in a relationship or if you're in a partnership that's sort of foggy or hazy at this time and you don't know where the other person is, I'm pretty sure one of you are going to initiate it and really nip it in the bud. One of the great things about Aquarians is you tell people who are dealing with you as friends or anything else usually end up knowing what's up pretty clearly. It's just up for them to accept, you know, what you're telling them. So it's usually, if there's confusion, it often has to do with the person dealing with the Aquarius either not accepting or not hearing the truth, right? You guys are very sharpshooters. People say like, oh, the Aquarian left. Well, there's your message. So in some situations, it's not about saying it, but the behavior is very clear cut. It's just a matter of knowing, right? So confusion, it's to do with a relationship, but there's a truth that's being laid out. So that's really good. That allows you to focus on these other aspects of your life that are much more a part of this transit. So now let's take a look at your 8th house. And again, this is the opposite of this conjunction. So this is pulling money towards you and away from shared money. So you don't have many transits here at this time, but you're definitely sucking the money in. It's about your equity, your resources, and much less about you and someone else. Although other people may be a part of that, as we've discussed already. Okay, so let's see. We have 2 cards came out. It really feels as though positive outcomes from past efforts of a financial nature, hard work that pays off, good reputation. This could be like a good reference letter for a job well done. Someone contacts you and says, do you want a job again, or do you want a different job? Someone's impressed, right? And it's going to make you very happy. I think if we're talking about like relationships where you have shared money with your partner or family, your family's very enjoying this energy very much. The next energy is the Knight of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Whatever happens is going to make you make some decisions really quickly. And the 8th house has a lot to do with change and transformation. So I think that there's something positive that is going to happen for you very soon. And that is going to in some way inform your home situation, your quality of life. And that is when that happens, you are going to be shoot out of there very quickly. And like you've been just waiting for the green light, and that's your green light. So something's going to really open up for you that's going to provoke you to make change, and that's coming. You're going to take a risk. Exactly. So that's the card I got. So you're going to take some kind of risk, but when it's the right time. So don't rush it. It's almost like waiting for a fish to catch. You've been waiting. Boom, fish catches, and you're off. Okay. So next is your 9th house. And so this is a trine to your position in Aquarius. It's, a good house for you. And at this time of filming, the moon is just entering into Libra. By the way, we have a full moon coming here also on Saturday. So just in a couple days. This is the chart for Saturday, so you can see it. But in terms of the conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter, it's not necessarily perfectly aligned. It's not like a direct reference or angle. So it has, how do I say this? An aspect of growth in your life may happen as a byproduct of this. You may move or go somewhere really far, but that's not where everything's going. Again, we're like a magnet pulling money in, and money's coming to you at this time. Okay. And it could be through things like the internet or things that are very spread out. So very good transit. We have the High Priestess, and then we have the 5 of Cups. Again, the High Priestess to me feels like someone who's pulling back from others. So I do get this from you, like pulling away from other people. I told you guys in the astrology about the South Node there. Pulling away from other people, staying away from their business. And 5 of Cups is just like getting away from other people's stuff and their energy. I don't think that over the next year you are going to be... Oh, Lovers. Who's the Gemini? Aquarius. Because Lovers is ruled by Gemini. So for some of you, it's literally a Gemini. I have a feeling that you have not distaste, but you have your tolerance has been reached with regard to other people. And so maybe there's one specific person that you feel very comfortable with. This could be a lover or this could be a partner, but it can also be other family members that are platonic family members. So yeah, just good energy. But I do sense that you're addressing certain issues of it, the lack of continuity between what is being said and what is being done. And I think that what people are saying and what they're doing do not line up. And so therefore, I think you're just kind of fed up with waiting for it to figure itself out. So I think you're more prone to really turn towards people who you trust a lot and people who you like a lot. So allow yourself to do that. Okay, so let's see the light energy. So much more focused on people who you're close with, people who you have established relationships with, or people who just, it could be a new person, but it would have to be, you would have to achieve a pretty solid level of trust with that person pretty quickly on. So that could mean that you have, right away, you hit on the fact that you have same moral principles, or you have similar community backgrounds, or there's some kind of understanding, so you know who you're dealing with, right? Okay, so then we have the 10th house here, career in your public life, and this is very harmonious with Jupiter. We talked about this in the astrology, so if you haven't watched that, watch that section of today's video. But again, I think overall a purge of the outside world. I think you're unsettled by the hypocrisy, right? Like how things can be one way or another. It's just, you want to get away from it because it's dirty and toxic and it's not nice. And with the South Node, you're just really incentivized to do that. And so therefore, and it's linked to your money. It's like, you don't, people wasting your time, sucking up your time. It's not very nice. So we have Justice, which is Libra. So it doesn't have to mean Libra. I just mentioned it. So it has to do, I was thinking about this, but I didn't cite it. So 9th house, right? Ideas and principles, justice. So that's what I was thinking when I was telling you about the 9th house. It just feels like your 9th and your 10th house is pretty deeply connected. And as the nodes move through this area, it's going to last about 3 years in total. You have about 2.5 years left. As this happens, I think what's going on is you have certain moral principles or values or ideas, beliefs, and you don't like how you're kind of fed up with putting up with the world. And it's not that you want everyone to live like you, but I think you're just sick and tired of people living in bad ways. And so it's like, get away from me. There's that feeling of, I want to neutralize. I want to get away from this situation. I want things to be clean and healthy. Yeah, walking away. And in certain instances, the 5 of Swords is going to show you that you're not going to resonate very well with, you're not going to resonate very well with, how do I say this? You're not going to resonate very well with certain people, and it's going to cause it's going to encapsulate to some degree a degree of self-sacrifice, right? And so what this means is that you're going to let go of people to whom it benefits your life to have on certain levels, because you're just not going to be able to put up with them, because there's going to be something like about the ideas and about what they represent that's just not going to sit right with you. That's another thing about Aquarians. You guys definitely don't put up with things that don't mesh, right? So Fool, which is Uranus, and so Uranus is in your 4th house, opposite your 10th house. New beginning and career, possibly changes at home. That can actually signal some big life changes, big moves, really shifting around. I know I said no travel, and I'm standing by that. I don't think it's an exploration phase. I think that what's going on here is, new opportunities, getting fed up with what you're doing or who you are, and something making a lot more sense, and you basically making that decision. It's like, this is the path for me. This is a better path for me. And so we have commitment. Look at this. You might choose something very significant in your life. You may change direction. If you're in school, you might change your major. If you're doing something past school, like whatever it is, I think you're dissatisfied with what is. Not terribly dissatisfied. It's to do with your ideas. And I think that you're just basically like, no, I'm going to go in a different direction. Okay, so Sagittarian 11th house isn't naturally harmonious with the conjunction, and that's okay. Again, it's not so much for you about other people. It's more about getting yourself in the right situation. So we have the Nine of Wands, waiting to see how people behave, waiting to see how things play out. And the Ace of Swords, somebody might be reaching out to you from the past, but I think you have distance from the situation and you're looking at it with maybe some questions. And we have King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. So you had that in the 7th house. Who's reaching out to you? Where are you asserting yourself? I have a feeling that you have a questioning disposition towards your friends. So you may be not critical, but like, and not unfully open, but I think you're distant, or, you know, you're cautious. So we have creativity. I think that this is a good sign to me. It means that however you handle it, I think it'll be in a way that even people may not tell that that's how you're thinking, but I think you're taking a stand on something. You may be feeling distant from some of your friends, and I think you're going to possibly take some steps to assert that. I think with some people, you may finally let them know how you feel. That's the King of Swords. Or a King of Swords is wanting to say something to you, tell you something, initiate conversation, get your attention, okay? So last but not least, let's talk about Pluto. So I just realized how intense this may be for you guys. And so if you're going through intense times, I would say that this is where it's going on. Whenever a planet, and especially a planet like Pluto that's so slow, enters this last degree, it's very, very long-winded. It's grueling. It's intense. It affects your entire year or even a year and a half. So this is one of these huge transits that you're only beginning now. So how does that manifest? Like, big questions come into your life, big themes. Things can be sort of blown out of proportion. There could be like a lot of perplexing questions that life kind of serves up to you, in which it's not an easy answer, and there could be a lot of paradoxes. There could be, a lot of, how do you say, yes and no. One thing about Pluto's the planet that's furthest away from the sun. And for the most part, I know it has like an orbit that's a little bit closer. I think it moves past Neptune in a part of its orbit, but not anytime now. So most of the time, it's the furthest away planet. And its far side, so the side that does not face the sun, completely frozen, right? It's looking into outer space. But the side that's actually facing the sun, even from that distance, I don't know if it's 12 astronomical units or 25. I think it's 25 astronomical units. Astronomical units are the distance between the Earth and the sun, so 25 times further from the sun than the Earth. But anyway, so from so far away, the part that actually orbits and turns towards the sun, it's not tidally locked, so it actually thaws a little bit. So the side, even from so far away, I always thought that was really interesting when thinking about Pluto. So what that means, I think, astrologically, energetically speaking, is that, one side of it sort of is so different. It's like two worlds in one. Extremes, thawed or completely frozen on the other side. So, pretty intense place, pretty extreme conditions, right? So yeah, Pluto in the 12th house might be serving you up incredible pressure and incredible changes. And that's a good thing, but going through it, you might just be like, what's going on? If you're feeling that pressure, that's what it is. Okay, and it's a good thing overall. It's a fact of life, right? Well, not for everyone because Pluto's slow, but I digress. So we have the Strength card next, which is Leo, and then we have the World. This is the 12th house, which is the subconscious. You really want something, Knight of Wands, Sagittarius or Aries. You want something. Look at this. This is like very warm, sunny. You want a warmer situation. You want a warmer situation with friends, or you want a warmer situation with whoever you're dealing with. So I think that maybe people show you friendship or people show you affinity, but I think you've figured it out that either at work or your certain friends or even certain family members are not being as kind as they say they are. And so I think what's happening on the inside is you want people who are, you're just hungry for people who are very warm-hearted and very, I think that's what I'm getting at, and that's what I'm seeing as a pattern. It's to do with the second house, but it affects your money. Like, you don't trust the people that you're dealing with. The trust came up a couple times in different ways. You don't trust the people that you're dealing with because they're not genuinely warm. And when you see through them as not necessarily genuinely warm. And so when you see through their ways, I think that it makes you distrust them. And I think you know what you're dealing with, and you're seeking what you're yearning for. And I think what you'll find, this is just the whole process of it, is warmth. And, you know, when people are very positively predisposed to you, they're not going to screw you around. They're not going to steal your money. They like you and stuff. And it's not that there's an outward problem in your life, but I think you've come to realize that those people that you're dealing with don't have enough positive feelings towards you to not do something to you if they need to, or if they're that type of person. I'm not saying they are going to do something to you, but I think you're feeling uncomfortable looking around and saying, these people aren't invested in me in their life, and so therefore I'm expandable, you know? Or it could justify bad behavior. So you have resilience. I think this is on the personal level, 12th house, resilience. Again, the message came through is don't say anything. Don't say anything, keep quiet, figure it out, and wait. And when the right moment happens, then you'll go for it. Remember, it was in the 8th house that it was the Knight of Swords. That's when I think you're going to go for it. You're going to see your opportunity and go through it. But it's important that you don't say anything before. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching and waiting. I hope this was helpful, and I care about you guys a lot. Go watch your sun, moon, and rising in that all sign video. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.